So let me take you back to summer 2023. In my home, I have taken on 2 extra children, one of which is a baby who we got 48 hours notice for. And my friends community, the wider network that we have, rallied round and got us everything we needed for a baby in that time period. And then they continued to bring things that we needed for a baby. So at one point by summer 23, the baby's 6 months old, and my living room looks like a hoarder's paradise, because on one half of it are bags and bags and bags of premature baby clothes, newborn, 0 to 3. And then on the other side, I've got everything from like 6 months to 4 years, because everybody has blessed them, been exceptionally kind and delivered me bags and bags and bags of things for these unexpected children. We've got cribs in there, there's baby rockers, there's sterilizers, there's towels, there's baskets, you name it, it's in there. And the rest of my house was pretty much the same. It looked like we'd been burgled at every opportunity. It was just awful. So there is a TV show called Sort Your Life Out with Stacey Solomon. Have you seen this on the BBC? I absolutely love this programme. And if you've not seen it, I will briefly outline the concept. So what they do, they pick a family like me who are unhinged messes in both sense of the word, mentally and both in their environment. The clutter has taken over their lives, okay? And they get them to tell their story, they pack up the house, and they place every single item of their belongings in a massive warehouse, and over a 2-day period get them to reduce their possessions by at least 50%. So they have to work through, everything's categorized. So there was one episode, I think, where a woman had 400 pairs of shoes. So all of the 400 pairs of shoes are there together. And Stacey Solomon, with the help of Dilly Carter, her wonderful co-host, who is a professional declutterer, and a couple of other presenters, they help these families to reduce their possessions. Like, come on, Laura, which are your favourite pair of shoes? You can keep 10. And then it's brilliant, right? Then meanwhile, while they're in the warehouse sorting out the possessions, they've got this joiner called Rob and this cleaner called Ewan, and they go and transform the space in their home on a low budget, so that when this family come back, all of their possessions are now categorised, fully decluttered, fully organised, fully sorted, and their space has been transformed to help them live a better, healthier, happier life. And what I love about this programme as well, they revisit them a month later, because I'm always hoping to see that it's an absolute shithole again, but it never is. They've just completely systemised their lives. It is such a beautiful, brilliant programme. It's won loads of awards. And in the summer of 2023, I was accepted for a video audition for this programme. So I sent videos of our home, of the state it was in, of the washing baskets. How many washing baskets have we got? We've got 9 washing baskets in our house, piled up, stacked up. There's just washing everywhere, shite everywhere, crap everywhere, boxes. Why do we keep boxes? I've got like an air fryer box, a box for my MacBook Pro that I'm never going to sell because I'm going to use it till it dies. Like, why do I need to keep the boxes everywhere? The house is just overrun. So I have this video audition for the BBC Sort Your Life Out video call. And unfortunately, because I am a foster carer, kinship foster carer, and the kids are on a care order, they wouldn't touch us with a barge pole. So I was absolutely devastated because, number one, I love Stacey Solomon. I think me and her would make good mates. And Dilly Carter's just beautiful and wonderful. And I wanted her to come with her label maker and label make the shit out of my house. I was so excited about it, and it didn't happen. So we carried on for a couple of months, and the house was just getting me down and getting me down and getting me down. So for my birthday in November, I gifted myself the best birthday present ever, which was a professional declutterer called Rachel, who came round to my house and decluttered the whole of our ground floor over 3 days. She was the best money I have ever spent. Not only did she declutter everything with me, she took it away to the tip. So I didn't even have to think about it. And what was great, because I'd watched this show with Stacey Solomon, and my thought process when I'm decluttering with Rachel is, if I was in that warehouse on that TV show, would I keep this item? And that is how I make the decision of yes or no. So Rachel comes, she declutters the whole of the ground floor. And as I'm speaking this out loud, I'm realising I never got her back to do upstairs, and my wardrobe is an absolute bomb site, and I need to get her back to help me do that. So then it gets to the next year, it gets to Easter the next year, and then the little girl is 6 years old at this point. Now, I've been a boy mum at this point for 13 years. And boy toys are very different to girl toys. If you are a girl mum listening to this, what is with all the shitty bits? Tiny Barbie shoes that get everywhere, little beads that go on jewellery, tiny little hair bubbles that threaten to ruin my Hoover permanently forever. They're just everywhere. Never known anything like it growing up, having a boy. So we took these to holidays as the opportunity to play Sort Your Life Out. Now, as a foster carer, I didn't know this till afterwards, but I'm not supposed to get rid of any of her possessions. It's got to be her decision. So I had sat with her and we'd both binge watched as much of Sort Your Life Out as possible. So I kind of, there's method in my madness. I'm going to get the kids into this. They're going to absolutely love it. So she fell in love with Stacey Solomon like I did. And for weeks she was like, can we play Sort Your Life Out? I was like, yes, we can. So I waited for a day when it was beautiful, bright sunshine. And I got every single item of her bedroom and laid it out on the patio and categorised it like they do on the show. So I've got pencils in one corner, the Barbies in another, Barbie dresses, Barbie shoes, dolls, doll clothes, like books, and you name it, slime, kinetic sand, Gabby's dollhouse shit. It's all everywhere and categorised. And I got her to do this process, and it didn't go to plan because in Sort Your Life Out, you're only watching it for half an hour. It's an hour. I think it's an hour long. This was 9 long, painful hours of, do you want to keep this? Do you want to keep this? Do you want to keep this? And so now I watch that program and the warehouse section and just feel the pain of that family having to go through that, because I did it too. But it was great. So we reduced her possessions by about 50%. I actually put her toys on Facebook Marketplace for free. Like I said, lots of people gave us things for free when the children came. So I felt it didn't feel right selling anything. I wanted to give it away to others. So we had people come and collect the toys that she didn't want, and then everything was nice and everything was decluttered. And I've now got to a point that was a year ago. I need to do it again. And I can't quite believe that we need to do it again. And I've got some stats here, right? Apparently, the average value of our possessions in the UK is about £50,000. That's £50,000 of stuff that we have in our homes. And over 90% of UK residents acknowledge that they have clutter, yet only 7.4% say that they live clutter-free. 7.4% of the population. The rest of us are drowning in stuff. And of course, people get stressed out about it. Apparently, of those people, 47% say it stresses them out. And for many, it can take up whole rooms. I know in the last house we lived in, that our spare room was just washing. The whole room was just washing and crap. So we never used it as a spare room. And apparently spare room is the biggest room that we will dedicate to clutter. Then it's garages, and then it's lofts. And of course, that's a waste. You think about how much our homes cost us, how much we're spending on our mortgages, and we're dedicating whole rooms to stuff that we've accumulated. So we move in cycles in our home. It's clean, it's tidy, it's decluttered. I do a tip run. Does anybody else like going to the tip? It is literally one of the best feelings ever to sort everything out. We're going to put cardboard in there, polystyrene in there, smashing the glass in the tip, one of my favourite things. And then you go and try and do the clothes one. They're always full every time, always full. There's locks on them, but I love a tip run. It's some of the most cathartic, cleansing, beautiful experiences. So it gets to the beginning of this year, 2025, and I'm like, right, I want to set myself a challenge every single month, something different that I can do every single month that I think is going to help me stick to a goal a bit more realistically rather than working on something long term, and things that are going to really help me. So January became the month of, I am going to declutter something every single day. And then I also said I was going to list things on Vinted every single day. The Vinted part, I lasted for one day and I hated it. I don't know. I feel really strange about getting paid for my old stuff. And I know that's really weird. And there are probably people listening to this screaming and shouting at me like, but you can make loads of money on Vinted. I don't know what it is. Just can't seem to do it. Tried it on Facebook Marketplace as well. I feel guilty. I let things go for next to nothing because I don't want to barter with people. So my Vinted part of the challenge failed after 2 days, one day. But the other part I was doing. So I was doing these decluttering drawers every day, just doing bit by bit by bit by bit. And then the LA fires happened. Do you remember that? It was only a few months ago, but that was horrendous. You know, a lot of celebrities were losing their homes. So I was trying to keep the morbid kind of curiosity and fascination. And that is such a horrible core fear, to have your house burn down and lose all of your possessions, is something that just felt horrendous. And I really, really felt for these people. And I started to look online for celebrities and to get like real-time information of what was happening. And I came across Spencer Pratt. Do you remember The Hills? Spencer and Heidi Montag, his wife. And he started recording lots of content because their house completely burnt down. And the only things that remained were some bits of twisted metal, some of the kids' garden toys, and he had this big, massive, like stainless, I think it was a stainless steel cooking pot that was left in the rubble, and he took it. He took it as like a memento because they're going to have to rebuild their lives. But what was interesting about watching these people going through such a horrific, life-changing time, they could see the fires were coming towards their properties. They had to evacuate. What are they taking with them? Passports, photographs, their devices, family heirlooms, pets, their family and themselves. That's what they're taking off with. You know, nobody's going back for the Nespresso machine. Nobody's taking their full collection of designer handbags with them. And nobody's certainly going for the air fryer box and the MacBook Pro box for, just in case we ever sell these in the future. And that was, I think, I was just watching these people taking what they could on foot, in cars, to get out of that area, and looking at my own home and my own possessions and thinking, if that was to happen to me, what would I take? What would I take in an emergency like that? And it makes you reevaluate everything around you. And I am one of those people where, you know, I had a delivery of Marks and Spencer flowers, okay? And the box came with a beautiful green bow on the top of it. And I find myself getting the bow and, you know, raveling it up and going to put it in the drawer of shit in the kitchen, you know, that we've all got, the drawer of crap, because I might use it one day. And it's like, why? Why am I in that mentality? But then I also find myself, as I said, I absolutely love a tip run, but it also brings this huge sense of guilt and shame of the world that we are leaving behind for our children and our grandchildren. And I don't want to get environmentally evangelical about it, but it does worry me. You know, I was looking at the videos of the LA fires and what's left in the rubble, the mangled metal, and Spencer's half a bread maker he pointed out on one of his. And some of that stuff remained after a fire that burned at such high and hot temperatures. And I'm looking at all this stuff thinking, we discard so much as a human race that just goes to landfill. And I feel such a sense of guilt and shame that I'm part of that. And I wanted to kind of do my bit. So it got me thinking about, actually, the problem with decluttering isn't necessarily decluttering the stuff that we've got. It's controlling what comes in. And so I know that one of my focuses for a future monthly challenge is going to be to try and have like a no spend month. I don't mean spend absolutely nothing. I mean, we're still going to have to buy food, but being considerate about the kind of food that we buy. So can I go to the local farm shop and reduce the packaging? Can I hire the services of a milkman. Now, when I grew up, our milk lady, Rita, used to come round every Friday for her milk money, have a little brew and a little chat and a Benson and Hedges with my mum at the back door. You know, she was a massive part of our community, as was then her son who took over. The milk lady and the milkman delivered our milk. We had it fresh every day on the doorstep. And now it's always in plastic cartons from the garage. You know, is there a milkman that I can hire? So all of these things have been running through my head about how to kind of stop that clutter coming in the first place, because that is really the only way that I'm going to be able to deal with it. And clutter causes us our environment is so important. And I think particularly if you're someone who works from home, I work from home a lot of the time, most of the week, and sitting with all that stuff around me while I'm trying to focus and I'm trying to concentrate, it just makes me feel exceptionally uncomfortable. So it is something that I wanted to tackle in January. I managed to do it most days, just chipped away at it, disposed of things as best as I could, as environmentally friendly as I could. I did also turn a little bit into Keith from The Prodigy. I'm very lucky where I live. I'm surrounded by fields. And one of my favourite possessions is my fire bin outside. So it's just a metal bin. And I get all my cardboard and I light it and I stand there. I love a bit of fire. And so I did. I went through the house and I looked at all the boxes, like I said, that we've kept. The computer box I'm never going to use, you know, the camera box for the camera that I'm never going to sell because, do you know what? It's out of date technology-wise, so why am I holding on to it? And while I'm at it, that camera needs to go down the local charity shop. Went and made friends with the local charity shops. Actually looked in charity shops and thought, why don't I shop here? Because there are some amazing things that you can buy that have got a lot of life left in them. Why do I always need to go out and buy something new? Do I need a new outfit for that next event? Is there something that I can repurpose? Is there something that I can buy secondhand? Can I go online? Can I shop on Vinted? All right, I'm uncomfortable selling on there, but can I shop on Vinted? And for anybody listening who is also drowning in clutter and looking at those stats, you know, over 90% of us are saying that we are. And I know that a lot of my friends also have the same issues around it. There are just a few tips here, you know, things that you can actually do. Like I said, the number one thing is stop the volume of stuff actually coming in. Be more conscious about your purchases, which is really hard this day and age. It really is. And for me, actually, that was for February, I wanted to reduce my social media use. So I naturally found I introduced lots of app blockers. I actively challenged myself to not go online as much, particularly on Instagram. And what I found was I spent a lot less in February because I wasn't being targeted with adverts that say they're going to solve every single pain point that I experience in my life. You know, every problem that I've got, there's a targeted advert for it. And I realised that I've got enough skincare to last me years. I've got enough clothes. And so it was about getting clever with the possessions that I already had. But actively stopping the volume of stuff coming in was transformational. And reducing my social media use definitely had an impact on that too. Another thing we do is teaching the kids as well. So they've got into this habit of drinks. So we'll be in the car, we'll stop off at the petrol station. If I've got the kids in the car and I need fuel, it's like, oh, they're going to start pecking my head. Can I have? And this day and age, I don't know what it is. You go into a petrol station and everything costs 5 times more than it used to do. And I went in for fuel the other day. The kids got 2 drinks and I think it was one packet of crisps. It was about 11 quid. And they had their water bottles in the car. And I'm like, what am I doing? And then obviously there's more plastic waste there. There's more bottles. So teaching the children that when they say, can I have, I get them to justify why they need it. And it's also about being more planned and prepped, particularly when we're out and about doing things, having water bottles, having snacks that we've already taken. So I'm not there purchasing more stuff when we're out and about. And even things like when we're shopping, they always want a treat or a toy, a magazine, crap, shitty bits. Like, we don't need any more of that. One thing I've tried to do with the kids as well is cycle their toys. So if you've got little ones who, you know, if you're like me, you've had to place toys in certain areas in storage, mainly out the way, so it's not just everywhere. It's about cycling those toys, bringing things out from the back of the storage boxes, from the bottom of the toy box, and letting the kids play with them. I think kids these days are so overwhelmed by the amount of possessions that they have that they've lost the art of how to play. So that's something that's been really, really helpful. And when it comes to decluttering as well, starting small. So rather than, not everybody can do a Stacey Solomon sort your life out and go and put all of your possessions in a warehouse. Starting small can be really, really helpful. And one way of doing it is by categorizing it. You might have heard of a book called The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo, an amazing Japanese lady. I read this about 9 years ago now, and systematically went through my home at the time to declutter, and it was really, really good. We then moved, acquired more stuff, got more clutter. Oh, story of my life. Goes back to the point of not bringing as much in. But Marie Kondo gets you to categorize things. So say, for example, you're going to sort your wardrobe out. She will get you to get all of the T-shirts, first of all. So you get all of your T-shirts and you put them in a pile. You get all of your trousers and you put them in a pile. All of your dresses and you put them in a pile. And she asks you to pick up every item. This is a bit weird. Hold it to your chest and your heart and ask yourself, does this spark joy? And if you've read her book, she talks about fainting at the thought of getting rid of her favourite T-shirt. It's a bit extreme, but I do get the concept. Asking yourself with every single item, once you've categorised it, does this spark joy? Am I going to need it? Or for me, would I get rid of this with Stacey Solomon in the warehouse and sort your life out? And if the answer is yes, it's got to go. So that can be really, really helpful to do. Also, body doubling. So where I hired that decluttering lady, actually, you don't necessarily need a professional declutterer to come and declutter your home, depending on how bad it is you might do. Mine was particularly bad at the time, but actually a friend can help with this. So Claire Morton, who helps me host this podcast sometimes, has been to my house before, held the baby for me, sat in a chair in my bedroom while I sorted out my wardrobe, because if I'm trying to do it on my own, I'm overwhelmed, I'm stressed out, I'm overstimulated. So she came round to just watch me and keep me in place, and that is a concept called body doubling. So you might have a friend who also desperately wants to declutter. Can you do a decluttering mates date? So do one of your houses one weekend and do another of your houses another weekend. I would definitely not recommend doing it one in the same day or one day after the other, because it can be very exhausting. But have you got a mate who can be your decluttering and reorganisation friend? That is another top tip from me. So decluttering is something that I am still actively on with, actively trying to practice, actively trying to get better at. But when I do it, it makes me feel like my environment is more within my control. I actually realised it had a positive knock-on effect. When my kitchen's clean, for example, at night time, if I do it before I've put the kids in bed, when I come downstairs and the kitchen's nice and clean and tidy, my brain goes, you've got your shit together. It's like the most wonderful feeling ever. And on the days when it doesn't happen and I come downstairs to an absolute bomb, my brain goes, oh my God, this is so awful. Let's eat a massive block of the Cathedral City cheese to change our emotional state and feel different. And so actually decluttering and changing my environment has helped me with a lot of healthier habits. So when I come downstairs in the morning, if it's clean and tidy, I am more likely to maybe do a quick 5-minute yoga or journal or meditate, because I don't walk into that stress and that mess straight away. So I wanted to share my stories about decluttering and decluttering tips, because like I say, it's something I'm still actively working on. It is transformational. And in the absence of going on BBC's Sort Your Life Out, I thought I'd record it on this podcast instead. If you've got any feedback, if you've got any tips or tricks or anything that you have on decluttering, please get in touch. You can find us at Honest to God Pod on Instagram. And I'd like to wrap up this episode by saying that decluttering is often, the inability to do it, a form of procrastination. If you struggle with procrastinating, I've written a book called Stop Procrastinating and Start Living, and it is available on Amazon. Thanks for listening. Happy tidying.